People think humiliation arrives loud, with shouting or fists. Mine arrived smiling, holding a plastic cup, at a party meant to celebrate us. My name is Caleb Moore, and that night rewired how I understand loyalty, dignity, and the cost of silence. If this opening already feels uncomfortably familiar, hit the like button so this story can reach others who might need it tonight. Maribel and I had been married 7 years. She was warmth and charm, the kind of woman who remembered birthdays and laughed with her eyes. I was steadier than exciting, a project manager who liked order, early mornings, and promises kept. We weren't perfect, but we were public good. At least that's what I told myself. The party was a rooftop fundraiser hosted by her firm, all string lights and curated playlists. I wore the jacket she liked. She wore confidence. I noticed him near the bar before I knew who he was. Trent had that easy posture of someone who never doubts the room will bend his way. Tall, tan, careless grin. He watched Maribel laugh with a coworker like he owned the moment. I felt a twinge, brushed it aside, and went to refill our drinks. Marriage teaches you to ignore twinges. When I returned, Trent was beside her, speaking softly. She tilted her head the way she used to when listening to me. He glanced over her shoulder and met my eyes. The smile stayed, sharpened. He extended his hand. "You must be Caleb," he said, slow and loud enough for nearby ears. "I've heard a lot about you." I shook his hand, felt the squeeze linger. Then he leaned in, voice honeyed, and said, "You're a lucky man. She's unforgettable." The laugh around us was small but real. Heat climbed my neck. Maribel didn't correct him. She didn't introduce me as her husband. She took a sip and looked away. In that moment, I realized something was already broken. If you've ever noticed that exact silence from someone you love, tell me in the comments what you felt right then. Trent stayed. He told a story that framed Maribel as his accomplice. Inside jokes and shared glances. He brushed past me twice, each time murmuring something just sharp enough to sting. "Relax," he said once, eyes glittering. "It's just banter." People laughed. I smiled because smiling is what men do when the room decides you're the joke. I excused myself to the edge of the roof. Wind pressed the city's noise flat. I replayed months I'd minimized. Late meetings, passwords changed, the way affection had thinned. I didn't want proof. I wanted peace. But peace that demands your self-respect is a debt that compounds. Pause here and comment the word clarity if you believe silence can be louder than betrayal. When I returned, Trent had an arm draped behind Maribel, not touching, claiming. He saw me and raised his cup. "To honesty," he announced. "It's better when everyone knows where they stand." Then he leaned close enough that only I could hear. "She chose truth tonight." Time slowed, faces blurred. I waited for Maribel to step back, to say my name the way vows sound when they mean something. She didn't. She said, "Caleb, please don't make a scene." The request landed like a verdict. I nodded, surprising myself with how calm I felt. I took my ring off, set it on the table between the empty glasses, and said, "You're right. I won't." I wished them a good night and walked to the elevator. If this moment stirred something heavy, share this story with someone who values dignity over drama. It might help them choose themselves sooner. In the lobby, the doors closed and the noise vanished. I breathed. I wasn't angry. I was awake. Seconds later, my phone vibrated. That's where this part ends, because what followed changed everything. I didn't know yet who would speak first, or what truth would finally surface. But I understood one thing clearly. Public shame fades, private resolve doesn't. I walked into the night lighter, carrying loss, yes, but also a spine I refused to bend again. No apologies, no explanations, no steps from here. My phone vibrated again before I reached the curb. A text from Maribel. "Please come back. We need to talk." I didn't reply. A call followed, then another. I sat in my car, hands steady on the wheel, watching the building's lights ripple across the windshield. Seconds later, a new name flashed on the screen, Isla Grant. I hadn't heard from Isla in years, not since she left the firm and moved to Manchester. I answered. "Caleb," she said, breathless. I'm sorry to drop this on you, but I saw what happened upstairs. Trent didn't expect me to be here. He's been telling people he's single. He's been telling everyone that. Her voice hardened. You're not crazy, and you're not the first. The city went quiet again. I thanked her, ended the call, and felt the last thread of doubt snap. Not rage, relief. The kind that comes when the truth stops negotiating with your feelings. If you believe truth doesn't need volume, only timing, comment below what finally convinces you, facts or patterns. I drove home and slept like a stone. Morning arrived clear. No dramatic messages, no apologies that mattered. Just resolve. I packed essentials, left the ring where I'd placed it in my pocket, and called an attorney named Avery Collins, recommended by a colleague who prized calm over theatrics. Avery listened, asked precise questions, and said, "You did the hardest part already. You left with dignity." By noon, Maribel texted again. Trent lied. He embarrassed me. Please. I typed once, deleted it, then typed again. All communication through counsel. I didn't feel clever. I felt finished. That afternoon, Isla emailed proof, screenshots, dates, the kind of quiet evidence that doesn't shout but ends conversations. Trent's smile made sense now. It was practiced. I forwarded everything to Avery. If this moment resonates, share this story professionally with someone navigating confusion. Clarity spreads faster when it's shared with care. A week passed. I moved into a short-term flat near the river. Routine returned. Gym at 6. Coffee at 7. Work at 9. The comments started reaching me through mutuals. Trent's reputation unraveling, apologies issued, invitations rescinded. None of it felt like victory. Felt like gravity. Maribel asked for a meeting. Public place, daytime. I agreed not to reconcile but to close the loop. She looked smaller across the table, remorse flickering between defenses. "He said you were checked out," she said. I believed him. I nodded. "You believed what made your choices easier." The sentence didn't bruise. It clarified. She cried. I didn't rescue her from it. For discussion. Should closure come from conversation or from consequences? Comment your take. We signed papers quietly. Fair, clean, done. I walked out into a thin winter sun and felt something like pride. Not the loud kind, the sturdy kind. Weeks later, I ran into Isla again, this time by chance. We shared a coffee, laughed at timing, wished each other well. Nothing else. I wasn't replacing loss with distraction. I was honoring recovery. Here's what I learned. If it helps you, humiliation isn't what happens when someone tries to shrink you. It's what happens when you help them. Dignity is a habit, not a speech. You build it in small refusals, refusing to chase explanations, refusing to audition for respect, refusing to stay where love is conditional. The party ended my marriage, yes, but it returned my name to me. I don't tell this story to punish anyone. I tell it because quiet men need maps too, and because sometimes the bravest exit is the calmest one. If this story gave you something solid to stand on, please like it, comment with the one boundary you'll never cross again, and subscribe for more true-to-life stories that choose self-respect over spectacle.